Hello, good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Siambo. Our top stories in the news tonight: vendors at LUSAKA'S COMESA market refuse to vacate the street. Former President EDGAR LUNGU'S political advisor implicated in the infamous gassing. Government urged to expedite the completion of the House of Prayer. In international news, Libya hands down death sentences to Islamic State fighters. And in sports news, Grant names 29-member provisional squad for Ivory Coast clash.
Salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ have come. You lift one hand and I'll lift the other hand, because our man of God in a surrendered position is more dangerous than an entire army. In the name of the Lord Jesus, today God will remove every form of iniquity, every ounce of iniquity that has been around you. Then I said, behold, I have come to do your will, O God, to fulfill what is written of me. So that I can understand that when Mary is in that crowd, part of her is crying for them to choose Jesus over Barabbas. But she doesn't understand the mystery of redemption. That Jesus did not come to the world to die a normal death, because a normal death does not do anything for you and I. Your great and mighty power, the heavens declare. Your great and mighty power, you're greater than the greatest, you're mightier than the mightiest, you're stronger than the strongest, better than the best.
Hello again. Another news in detail. Little Assisi School for Children with Special Needs representative Sister Kay O'Neill has implored the government to support organizations that are providing support to children with disabilities. Speaking during the commemoration of the Ring the Bell campaign in Lusaka Tuesday, Sister O'Neill explains that they receive little or no support from the government to assist children with cross-cutting disabilities. The campaign is to raise awareness of the importance of education for children with learning disabilities. Here's a report.
Children with cross-cutting disabilities gathered at the Mulungushi International Conference Center in Lusaka Tuesday, 30th May 2023, in readiness for the Ring the Bell annual campaign. The campaign is aimed at raising awareness of the importance of education for children with learning disabilities. They marched from Mulungushi to East Park Mall, where the commemoration was being hosted. Melin Koma, a programs officer at Cheshire Homes Society of Zambia, underscored the need to create a conducive environment for children.
This year's theme, which is inclusive play-based early childhood education, is very apt to our cause. We realize that children with disabilities have no access to inclusive play schemes, which further works against them as they are deprived of play, which is essential to their physical, emotional, and social development. From this year moving forward, we will campaign for inclusive play-based early childhood education till tangible results are attained.
Little Assisi School for Children with Special Needs representative Sister Kay O'Neill implored the government to support organizations that are providing support to children with disabilities.
Our work is huge. We work under difficult conditions with very few resources. I am sorry to say this, but we get very little support from the government, such as we are complementing government's efforts in the delivery of services to children with disabilities. Today, I make an earnest appeal to the government, through you, our guest of honor, to consider allocating yearly budgets to organizations such as ours that seek to improve the lives of children with disabilities.
Ruth Singoi is a social welfare officer from the Ministry of Community Development and Social Welfare.
It is imperative to mention that your efforts of working with persons with disabilities throughout the country and implementing activities through established social services is commendable job, as you are supplementing government efforts in addressing issues pertaining to vulnerable children in society, in particular the disabled children. We would also like to encourage you to continue assisting government in uplifting the living standards of these vulnerable children in our community.
And the Ministry of Education highlighted commitment to uplifting the livelihoods of children with disabilities.
The quality of early childhood education is still with a lot of challenges, as construction of age-appropriate facilities are not yet realized. However, I'm delighted to inform you that the Ministry has embarked on construction of age-appropriate facilities for early childhood education.
And after the speeches, it was that time for the children, parents and teachers and other stakeholders to make the awareness noise. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Vendors at COMESA market in Lusaka have told the government to stop chasing them from the streets if they cannot be provided with alternative trading spaces. In an interview, one of the traders, Lucky Kaluba, says the Lusaka City Council has directed them to stop operating from the streets until the COMESA summit, which is slated for the 6th of June 2023, is concluded. He adds that the council has warned of confiscating their merchandise if they resist adhering to the directive. Meanwhile, Council Public Relations Officer Maston Monze says the local authority has not issued any notice that vendors at COMESA will return to the streets once the summit is concluded. More in this report.
According to local authorities, street vending is illegal. But for many Zambians, particularly those who are unemployed, it remains an important source of livelihood. Tuesday, those operating near the traffic lights at COMESA market in Lusaka vowed not to vacate the street, citing lack of trading space in markets. According to the traders, the Lusaka City Council has directed them to stop operating from the street until the COMESA summit, which is slated for the 6th of June 2023, is concluded, adding that the local authority has warned of confiscating their merchandise if they resist to adhere to the directive.
Banali pa Saturday, send pa Saturday. Banabwela bakanso police. After babwela bakanso police, banabwa batuza ati lekani kutantika bintu vanu vonse. Nichani chamnetilekele kutantika ati ai kubwela ma officers bazabwa kutengereni makatungu haya. Mlandu wachani ati kuzakala summit. So bani kuzakala summit tifuna ukuconcert kiline. So ngabona nanga why bonse abakozi ni mwose tile street white pezeke kutini kuno kweka kwantakala affected ati yes because kuzakala summit zakalira apa pa COMESA headquarters. So my officials bonse bazabwera bazakhala muti bazabwera checking a market.
Tutafunza chakuti babwera check seni babwaka mbao msatantike tawafunza nanga tadala kwa chani atukuzangala meeting. Ma meeting yosumukatiuze kuti meeting msatantike there so oke tikatakula pamanyi. Tizakapotantika liti atitiziwa. So sitiziwa bewa sakira kulise batiuze chabe kuno noti bambotikuti satizanga kuti.
They have lamented that they largely depend on their small businesses for income, and removing them out of the street without an alternative trading place will negatively affect their businesses.
Anyway, cancel bakana muguti kwandi due because kwa batituma kuli antobolo ni kada ni UPND kada. Manje how come government itutuma kuli makada but because the president said no kadalism. How come? Kutitende kuri makade, because the council, they have to advise us and they have to give us notice. So you people from this side to this side, this is the notice. There will be something which will be happening this time. Manchester wanatuzeko vili voice wanabwera che sudden. How can you survive? Sudden che kukupisha ro munyumba sona gure na vili voice. It's a business yatu ni hand to mouth.
Removing marketeers, the poor people from where they are selling from, just for their selfish interest. I know what they are saying is that there is a SADC whatever. That SADC conference is not happening at COMESA market. No, it is happening at LUNGU'S conference. So those guys in the office, those who occupied the office illegally, the Mr. Kachingwes and the Titus Sankisha, they have a wrong motive. They want to suppress the people.
Meanwhile, the Lusaka City Council says it has not issued any notice that vendors at COMESA will return to the street once the summit is concluded. The local authority has, however, advised all traders to move back to their respective trading places.
The story of rather where they are alleging that we told them to come back after the summit. There's no notice from the local authority telling them to come back after the summit. What we've been engaging them is to ask them to go back to their respective markets and operate from there and do business from there. Not that after the summit they will have to come back. That area has to be left clean, it has to be left free.
These vendors rely on the income they earn from their small businesses to support themselves and their families. However, street vending can also have a negative impact on public health and safety, as well as on the overall beauty of the city. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Citizens First Party leader Harry Kalaba has urged the government to expedite the process of the completion of the House of Prayer. Speaking when he visited the site of the House of Prayer Tuesday, Mr. Kalaba says whilst others regarded the project as useless while in opposition, the infrastructure is important for national unity. He says his party attaches importance to the completion of the House of Prayer as it symbolizes the covenant Zambia has with God. More in the following report.
My delegation and I came here to see progress that has happened at the National House of Prayer, and we are really disappointed that nothing is happening. We wanted to go in, but we have been stopped from going to see progress. Clearly, you can see that it has been abandoned. We are urging government to please expedite the finishing of this very important project, because for us this National House of Prayer was signifying the covenant that Zambia has with the living God. And so if there are those who think it is useless to have a national project like this, which is connecting us to our living Creator, for us in the Citizens First, we think it's very important that this project is done and that we as a Christian nation can begin honoring our God who has brought us this far.
The Zambia police has confirmed the arrest of former President Edgar Lungu's political advisor, Dr. Christopher Zimba, and 3 others for the alleged offense of being in possession of articles for terrorism or proliferation purposes contrary to the laws of Zambia. Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga says the accused are alleged to have jointly and acted together with others unknown did possess offensive articles, namely DIP 600 and halothane, and others with intent to endanger life. Meanwhile, some opposition political party leaders have described the arrest of former President Edgar Lungu's political advisor Christopher Zimba as ridiculous. More in this report.
Former Edgar Lungu's advisor for politics, Dr. Christopher Zumani Zimba, has been formally charged with alleged offense of being in possession of articles for terrorism or proliferation purposes contrary to the Anti-Terrorism Act No. 6 of 2018 after spending a night without being charged at Woodlands Police Station. Dr. Zimba, 43, has been charged with 3 others, namely Kiven Piri, 37 of Mississippi Compound, Marlon Banda, 36 of 12 Miles area, and Potfa Gwai, 44 of Mutendere Compound, or from Lusaka. Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga says the accused are alleged to have jointly and whilst acting together with others unknown possessed offensive articles, namely Deep 600 and Halothane and others with intent to endanger life. The incident is believed to have occurred in February 2020 in Petauke District, Eastern Province.
Police in Lusaka have jointly charged and arrested Dr. Christopher Zumanizimba, aged 43, of farm number 100 in Chongwe, Given Puri, aged 37, of a known house number in Mrs. Compound, Marlon Banda, aged 36, of plot number 811 in 12 Miles area, and Potfagwai, aged 44, of plot number 194/17 Mtendero Compound in Lusaka, for the offense of being in possession of articles for terrorism or proliferation purposes, contrary to Section 25 of the Anti-Terrorism Act No. 6 of 2018, as read with Section 2 of the amended Anti-Terrorism Act No. 6 of 2023. It is alleged that the accused, jointly and whilst acting together with others unknown, did possess offensive articles, namely Deep 600 and Halothane, and others with intent to endanger life. The incident occurred in February 2020 in Petauke District in Eastern Province of the Republic of Zambia. The accused are currently detained in police custody and will appear in court soon.
While Dr. Zimba becomes the latest victim to face arrest from the former ruling party's camp, some opposition party leaders have described his arrest as ridiculous.
Sad, just being here and seeing the charge that is being accused of is very, very sad. Because for me, one thing I've noticed also is that it's more like they're trying to weaken the former president. Anybody who is seen to be around him, if you look at the people that are being arrested, the people that are normally found with him are being arrested, and people, just anyone that they can from the PF, all sorts of things. So to be here and to hear that Dr. Chris Manizimba, who happens to be my personal friend, by the way, we were together at UNZA from first year all the way to the last year. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm shocked that he can be given such a ridiculous charge as a terrorism. It's very, very sad.
In the case of Chris Zumani, it's very clear. He's been quiet the last 2 years, and there was nothing, no investigations, no police call-out, no political harassment. As soon as he began as a political analyst to analyze current affairs and analyze the policies of this government, analyze the presidential speeches, all of a sudden there was attention to him. There was criminal investigations launched against him and others. For us, we think that this is a ploy to attempt to cower us into fear, cower us into, to be intimidated, and use the law to punish perceived opponents. Because, for example, Zumani's last article, the president talked about a cat, that he can go to America, he can go to China. He doesn't mind about the color of the cat, whether it's white and black. And Zumani wrote an article that this current cat can't...
In Zambia, the offense of terrorism is not bailable and may culminate to life imprisonment. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News in Lusaka.
The Lusaka magistrate has referred to the High Court the criminal offense that suspended Judge Wilfred Muma is facing. The suspended High Court judge is facing a charge of willful failure to comply with the law and applicable procedure. When the matter came up Tuesday, Magistrate Kasanda transferred the case to the High Court after receiving the certification of committal from the Director of Public Prosecutions. According to the court record, Muma is alleged to have, between the 1st of April and the 31st of December 2018, when he served as Commissioner of Lands, instructed his subordinates to cancel a certificate of title for public property in Lusaka. The action was contrary to the Lands and Deeds Registry Act of the laws of Zambia. The Lusaka Magistrate Court has acquitted United Peaceful Prosperous Zambia UPPZ President Charles Chanda from charges of obtaining money by false pretenses involving millions of kwacha. Mr. Chanda was alleged to have obtained millions of kwacha from 127 people who lodged complaints against him on the basis that he had portions of land to sell to them, but he never delivered. Delivering a ruling Tuesday, Nakonde Chief Resident Magistrate Alice Walusiku, who sat at Lusaka Magistrate Complex, acquitted Mr. Chanda at the case to answer stage after establishing that the prosecutions failed to prove their allegations. The court has also established that among the 41 witnesses who testified in the matter, 9 had nothing to do with the case and were not relevant as witnesses. Magistrate Walusuku has also found that Mr. Chanda did not obtain the money for the complainants by false pretenses, only that he delayed to deliver of the land to the complainants. Government says it will support any initiative that leads to increased access to clean energy among Zambians, especially the rural population, as they equally need energy for production and domestic use. Speaking during the presentation of the Energy Poverty Study Finding and Recommendations, Minister of Green Economy and Environment Acting Director Bosich Tongo says the country requires a lot of information on energy so that appropriate strategies can be developed. He explains that the government is keen on the green economy development path, hence the creation of such a ministry that will directly address issues that surround energy and accessibility. Meanwhile, People's Process on Housing and Poverty in Zambia Programs Director Melanie Chirwa says the study on energy poverty is aimed at raising awareness and offering a wide range of energy solutions and contributing to SDG number 7. More in this report.
Usage and access to clean energy is essential for economic growth, human development, and more generally poverty reduction. According to Sustainable Development Goal number 7, by 2030, Zambia targets to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. However, access has remained low in many developing countries, Zambia among them. It has been observed that lack of access to clean energy is a sign of poverty. In order to address this, People in Need, Keepers Zambia Foundation, and People's Process on Housing and Poverty in Zambia have commissioned an energy poverty study whose aim is to analyze policies regulating access to energy poverty among vulnerable household, medium and small-medium entrepreneurs in different districts within 8 provinces of Zambia.
We would like to reiterate the need for continued efforts to invest in clean, reliable, and affordable energy to improve the well-being of people, particularly poor and vulnerable people. We need to decarbonize our energy systems in order to enhance environmental protection and promote inclusive and just climate actions.
And government says it will support any initiative that leads to increased access to clean energy among Zambians, especially the rural population, as they equally need energy for production and domestic use.
As a government, we shall also play our part by sharing the reports with relevant government institutions so that the study does not just end up at the ministry. We require a lot of such literature on energy so that appropriate strategies can be developed. Allow me to say that the government is so keen on the green economy development pathway. Hence, the creation of the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment to directly address the issues that surround the path towards clean energy accessibility.
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Safe Zambezi Coalition has called on President Hakainde Hichilema to, with immediate effect, cancel the mining license given to Mwembeshi Resources Limited to mine in the Lower Zambezi National Park. Speaking at a media briefing in Lusaka Tuesday, Worldwide Fund for Nature WWF Chief External Engagement Officer Fungai Musana says the due process was not followed in the acquisition of the license, further stating that mining in a national park will have serious consequences on wildlife. Meanwhile, Mwembeshi Resources Corporate Affairs Manager Oliver Shalala charges that organizations that seek to halt the mining activities in Lower Zambezi have little information about the mine. She alleges that protesters have been shunning meeting the company to understand and appreciate the plan and strategy it intends to implement to safeguard wildlife while mining. More in this report.
following the decision taken by the Minister of Green Economy and Environment, Engineer Collins Nzovu, to turn down an appeal made by the Save Zambezi coalition to halt the mining activities in the Lower Zambezi National Park, yet to be undertaken by Mwembeshi Resources Limited. The coalition has turned to Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema to seek his intervention. Addressing journalists and other stakeholders at a meeting in Lusaka, the coalition has argued that the acquisition of the mining license in a national park by Mwembeshi did not follow the right procedure since inception, further adding that mining in the national park will destroy wildlife.
Secure a healthy, prosperous and future for communities in the Lower Zambezi, covering Chirundu, Rufunsa, Luangwa districts in Zambia. WWF urges the government to review or rather cancel the license for this mining operation. This would be consistent with the prior political commitments as espoused in the environmental sustainability pillar of the 8th National Development Plan.
Meanwhile, conservation advocates says the 300 jobs that have been promised to be created by the mine cannot be compared to the over 15,000 jobs that have been created through wildlife conservation in the Lower Zambezi, hence joining the league in calling for the president to intervene.
The minister refused to attend to the appeal. This is where we are. This government has missed an opportunity to correct a wrong that was committed by, according to what they say, and perpetuated by their predecessors. And as such, it is our view that they have squandered the chance to stand on the correct side of history. As the old adage says, posterity will judge us all.
Others have also reminded the country that Zambezi National Park is among the 4 national parks standing in the world, and that allowing mining in a conservation area is tantamount to destruction of wildlife.
To proceed with the mine in the national park, we're actually, as a country, we undermine every other protected area system because it will form the basis that anyone can go into any protected area and mine or do large-scale agriculture.
Zambian founding father Kenneth Kaunda, in his last months, wrote a heartfelt protest against the mine. Supporters of the mine rely on the argument that this is a Zambian mine.
But Mwembeshi Resources Limited, in its response, says it has invested modern technology to be used that will allow wildlife to coexist with mining.
As things stand now, we have all the permits that are supposed to be gotten. The courts ruled in the favor of the mine. Everything is on track. We are actually developing the roads going to the mine site right now. So there's nothing stopping us from proceeding. Very soon we'll be able to start with excavations to do the pit. A lot of misinformation has been given.
For now, the future of Zambezi National Park still remains uncertain now that Mwembeshi Resources Limited has already moved on site to prepare for mining activities.
You're watching Camnet Television News. Thanks for staying with us. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ have come. You lift one hand and I'll lift the other hand, because our man of God in a surrendered position is more dangerous than an entire army. In the name of the Lord Jesus, today God will remove every form of iniquity, every ounce of iniquity that has been around you. Then I said, behold, I have come to do your will, oh God, to fulfill what is written of me. So that I can understand that when Mary is in that crowd, part of her is crying for them to choose Jesus over Barabbas. But she doesn't understand the mystery of redemption. That Jesus did not come to the world to die a normal death, because a normal death does not do anything for you and I. Your great and mighty power, the heavens declare. Your great and mighty power, you're greater than the greatest, you're mightier than the mightiest, you're stronger than the strongest, better than the best.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The Crushers and Edible Oil Refiners Association, SIDORA, has predicted that the price of cooking oil in the country is not likely to experience a price reduction despite a bumper harvest of soybeans in the country. SIDORA Executive Director Aubrey Chibumba tells Camnet News that the price of cooking oil in the country is mainly triggered by the competition of pricing in South Africa, which reflects on the local market. He says South Africa is the major competitor of soybeans exports in the region, and the price of cooking oil will be measured depending on the market pricing mechanism. Mr. Chibumba says Zambia has produced over 700,000 metric tons of soybeans, which he says may not directly translate into price reduction of the commodity.
We can't push those prices too high, because if we push those prices too high, then it gives the opportunity of cheaper products that our cooking oil prices can't be too high. In fact, if you look and compare, our cooking oil prices have been are actually slightly lower than the prices of cooking oil in South Africa. Now that's an advantage, right? Remember, they're at the coast, so therefore they have got the logistical advantages, right? So in terms of what happens now to the pricing, we can expect that going forward, because we've got a bumper crop, it means that if we crush everything, in theory we'll be producing quite a lot of oil domestically, the highest we've ever produced in the history of our country, and therefore it means that we're less susceptible to exchange rate shocks. Remember, the last time the prices went up, it's because we import too much cooking oil, and whenever the exchange rate moves in an adverse direction, then that means that the price of cooking oil goes up. So of course, with this bumper harvest, and if we crush everything, we do not foresee, barring any big shock, we do not see any big changes in the prices of
Finance and National Planning Minister Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane has appealed to the country's official creditor committee to make substantial progress on the country's debt restructuring in their next meeting next month. In a statement made available to the media, Dr. Msokotwane says doing so will facilitate for preparation of the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding that will allow for Zambia to swiftly resolve its debt overhang and access the next tranche of IMF financing. Dr. Msokotwane says delays to the debt restructuring are having a significant impact on the economy and the livelihoods of the people. He says the uncertainty created by the protracted restructuring process has put pressure on the currency and made it difficult to attract much-needed foreign investment, despite Zambia's vast natural resources and improved business climate. The finance minister says with the help of the IMF, Zambia has played its part by making significant progress in implementing the reform agenda to stabilize its economy, increase transparency and borrowing oversight, as well as implement prudent spending reforms. He says debt relief is urgently needed for Zambia to maintain its trajectory of economic recovery and growth. Zambia Railways Limited says it has temporarily suspended the operations of Mulobezi passenger train service from Livingstone to Mulobezi and vice versa. Organization Acting Public Relations Manager Sombe Ngonga says the suspension has been necessitated by the unsafe condition of Wombwe Bridge, which needs urgent repair works for the safe passage of the train and passengers. Mrs. Ngonga says the government has, however, through the Ministry of Transport and Logistics, allocated a budget of 27 million kwacha towards the rehabilitation of the bridge. He says upon receiving the funds, the company immediately commenced the procurement process of engaging a consultant who will assess the existing operational bridge and recommend remedial measures to be implemented in the short term to sustain the train's operations.
Zambia Railways Limited has temporarily suspended the operations of Mulobezi passenger train service from Livingstone to Mulobezi and vice versa. This suspension has been necessitated by the unsafe condition of Wombwe Bridge, which needs urgent repair works for the safe passage of the train as well as the passengers. The government of the Republic of Zambia, through the Ministry of Transport and Logistics, has since allocated a budget of 27 million kwacha towards the rehabilitation of the Wombwe Bridge. And upon receiving the funds, ZRL immediately commenced the procurement process of engaging a consultant. The consultant has to assess the existing operational bridge.
Mufumbwe District Commissioner Elijah Munyompe has challenged district livestock technicians from various districts in the northwestern province to disseminate the sustainable measures of climate-smart livestock production interventions aimed at reducing the effects of climate change affecting animals. Mr. Munyompe re-emphasized the need for more training of livestock technicians in other programs to help farmers adopt the climate-smart livestock production as a way of improving production and productivity in the province. The district commissioner was speaking in a speech read for him by District Administrative Officer Agrippa Chitambala when he graced a one-day climate livestock production training for district livestock technicians in Mufumbwe. A Northwestern Provincial Livestock Development Officer, Bona Zulu, disclosed that the Department of Livestock Development in the province as of the first quarter of 2023 disseminated extension services to more than 7,500 livestock farmers.
The impact of climate change on livestock is real. Drought and floods are also part of the negative impacts climate change is affecting animals in the province. No wonder the district livestock technicians are here for capacity building in climate-smart livestock production. But how serious is the impact of climate change on livestock production? Mwape Mweni is Senior Livestock Development Officer from the Ministry Headquarters.
Today's training in Mfumbwe which has been supported by the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock. We want to orient our officers into issues that have to do with climate change and how it's affecting the livestock in their respective districts, and how they can help their farmers and communities that are keeping livestock to adapt and mitigate the climate effects that are affecting their livestock production systems.
Mufumbo District Commissioner Elijah Munyompe, who graced the event, was represented by the District Administrative Officer Agrippa Chitambala.
This is a very important meeting to ensure that the issue of climate change in relation to animal production is lessened. Livestock is also playing a role in issues relating to climate change. So as officers, let's gain as much knowledge as possible so that when we get back, we're able to put in measures that are sustainable in livestock production.
A Northwestern Provincial Livestock Development Officer, Bona Zulu, disclosed that the Department of Livestock Development has disseminated extension services to more than 7,000 livestock farmers in the first quarter of 2023.
These 7,500 farmers, 37% were women, about 41% were men, and 22% were youths. So we are really excited as the members of staff are being capacity built. We know that with these skills and knowledge, we're able to help our farmers produce their livestock in a much more climate smart, which is much more sustainable.
Digoka Chingambu is forage seed specialist from Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock headquarters.
And some of the things that we're doing are one, improved pastures. We've been talking about seed demonstration plots themselves where farmers are learning different things. This is also doing in nutrition. So not only are we focused on promoting improved fodder, but also encouraging and doing range and management with the communities. That's quite a big adaptation measure because they're basically managing their natural resources.
The district livestock technicians are ready to implement the new technologies to the farmers.
We've learned quite a number of things on how to mitigate the effects that are brought about by climate change, especially the greenhouse effects.
Kriva Chituta, reporting in Mfumbwe District, Northwestern Province.
Thank you for staying with us. We'll take our second and final break. Join us for international sports news after the break.
Water is life. Each drop counts, and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ have come. You lift one hand and I'll lift the other hand, because our man of God in a surrendered position is more dangerous than an entire army. In the name of the Lord Jesus, today God will remove every form of iniquity, every ounce of iniquity that has been around you. Then I said, behold, I have come to do your will, O God, to fulfill what is written of me. So that I can understand that when Mary is in that crowd, part of her is crying for them to choose Jesus over Barabbas. But she doesn't understand the mystery of redemption. That Jesus did not come to the world to die a normal death, because a normal death does not do anything for you and I. Your great and mighty power, the heavens declare. Your great and mighty power, you're greater than the greatest, you're mightier than the mightiest, you're stronger than the strongest, better than the best.
In international news, Nigeria's Bola Tinubu has been sworn in as president of Africa's most populous country, Nigeria, at a period of unprecedented challenges, leaving some citizens hopeful for a better life and others skeptical that his government would perform better than the one he succeeded. The former governor of Lagos, Nigeria's economic hub, Tinubu, 71, was sworn in as Nigeria's president in Abuja, the capital city, in the presence of thousands of Nigerians and several heads of governments. He succeeds President Muhammadu Buhari to lead a country that by 2050 is forecast to become the third most populous nation in the world, tied with the United States after India and China. President Tinubu has promised to build on Buhari's efforts to deliver democratic dividends to citizens in a country where deadly security crises, widespread poverty, and hunger have left many frustrated and hungry and angry. For more in international news, here's a roundup.
A Libyan court sitting in Misrata on Monday condemned to death 35 men convicted of fighting for the Islamic State group during its occupation of the city of Sirte. This was the first group of 320 alleged militants to be tried and sentenced. The suspects appeared in the dock clad in blue prison overalls with shaven heads. Most of the defendants were convicted and sentenced to death. Some of them were sentenced to life in prison. The minors were also sentenced. There are 3 minors who were sentenced to 10 years in prison. Most defendants are Libyan nationals, but they are also Sudanese, Egyptians, and Palestinians. When the verdicts were read, cries of joy and applause filled the courtroom, packed with relatives of those who lost their lives in the battles to liberate Sirte. I'm happy today with the fair trial. Thank God they delivered justice to our children. 780 martyrs. Islamic State had captured the central coastal city of Sirte in 2015 before being driven out by forces loyal to the government.
Representatives of 175 nations convened in Paris on Monday for immense talks of ending plastic pollution amid protests and urgency to act. Plastic contributes to global warming, accounting for 3.4% of global emissions in 2019, according to environmental organizations. This comes as many countries are reluctant to aim for absolute cuts in production, insisting that recycling and improved waste management are the answer. There are global consensus on the issue of plastic pollution and the will to act against it, but when it comes to the measures to be taken, there are 2 types of groups of countries: those that are going to focus more on the end of life of plastics, so we are going to collect and recycle plastic better, and those who are really going to focus on the whole life cycle of plastic and reduce the quantity of plastic that we put on the market.
Even though you have more developed countries and less developed countries, we all have to come together to make this treaty work for us. All stakeholders should be included and be able to participate.
Meanwhile, campaigners kept the pressure on over-access to the venue during the day, tweeting a picture of a group of around 3 dozen campaigners at the Center for International Environmental Law called for greater public participation in the process. There were a lot of funding problems for, in particular, participants from southern countries. There are a lot of people who have spent a lot of money to be here and who have had big visa problems to be here and who are here without being able to access these negotiations. Environmental groups are now concerned the treaty may not include targets to reduce overall plastic pollution.
For some of the displaced Sudanese people who fled home due to fighting that erupted in Khartoum last month, the town of Wad Madani, some 186 kilometers south of Khartoum, has become refuge. The Shaima shelter accommodates families through youth-led initiatives that have spread information online to help people find a place to stay. We used to live in the city of Damazin. Then the war resumed in Khartoum, so we became displaced again from Khartoum and moved to Wad Madani. We are currently staying here with great patience and difficulty due to the war and constant displacement from one area to another. If the war is stopped, we will return to Khartoum. We are hoping for security and peace in our country. Though many are far off from the fighting in Khartoum, where at least 1,800 people have died, yet their worries remain. The difficult access to cash is amongst the many challenges. There is significant overcrowding in the banks, and that means that you have to face many difficulties when you withdraw money. I left Khartoum and went to the Al-Bajia area, but was not successful, so I went to the Hashisha area, where I faced the same issue of not finding a bank. I arrived at 6 o'clock and took a number. Mine was 106. It's just now that I have finally been able to withdraw money. There are tragedies and significant overcrowding. Worsening tensions between military rivals in Sudan exploded into open fighting last month.
It's now time for sports news. In sports news tonight, Zambia national men's football team coach Avram Grant has named 2012 Africa Cup of Nations winning defender Stopila Sunzo in his 29-man provisional squad to face Ivory Coast in the 2023 AFCON qualifier at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium on the 17th of June. The Chipolopolo boys, who are 1 point away from making it to the AFCON, have missed the last 3 editions of the Continental Showpiece. Other notable players that have made the list include defender Aim Mabika, striker Patson Daka, and in-form topman Fashion Sakala. The Copper Bullets are second of the group with 9 points, 1 behind leaders Ivory Coast, 6 better than third-placed Comoros, while Lesotho are carrying all the teams in the group with 1 point. Zambia needs to avoid defeat in order to seal qualification next month. To end Camnet television news, the headlines once again. Vendors at LUSAKA'S COMESA market refuse to vacate the streets. Former President Edgar Lungu's political advisor implicated in the infamous gassing. Government urged to expedite the completion of the House of Prayer. In international news, Libya hands down death sentences to Islamic State fighters. And in sports news, Grant names a 29-member provisional squad for Ivory Coast clash. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from Hebrews 13 verse 5. Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. Thank you once again for watching Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.